Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'd like to thank you very much, my dear teacher. I respect everyone who's present here with my best regards. In the previous session, my esteemed teachers have mentioned the difficulty of understanding and talking about Kamil insans, the perfected human beings. I remembered a story from Hazreti Mevlana. As a nickname, Mevlana also used Hamush the Silent in his poetry, together with Shams. The words that rise from the spirit actually veils the spirit as well. So this is actually a very good example of Persian literature, Persian writing. So the only thing we can do is to try to understand them. So we are in such an endeavor, and this endeavor is not actually the area itself, it is just the map of the area. So I would like to share with you his understanding of Sharia and religion. So the map itself is not the area itself. I'd like to repeat this. So if we know the map well, then we can adapt to the area much better. So Kenan Rifai, both in his spiritual discourses and Masnawi commentary, and there's also another one, the memoirs of Masnawi, and Samiha Ayverdi's and the other writers' book called the Islam in the 20th century. So these are the books I would like to touch upon and try to enlighten, inshallah, what he actually meant by Sharia and religion. So what we can see here is, as mentioned in the previous session, this Sharia, Hakika, and Marifa. This pyramid is mentioned among Sufis a lot. So when we have such classifications in Tasawwuf, they always actually say Tasawwuf is referring to the ihsan dimension, the benevolence dimension of the truth. So, but it has actually been so diverse. So the Jibril Hadith, as well known to everyone, Jibril comes to the Prophet and asks what Islam is. We have this threesome, but sometimes Islam, faith and benevolence is mentioned, and sometimes wisdom is also added to it. So if it's penetrated, the faith penetrated into your heart, then you actually worship as if you're seeing Allah, and that is called the level, the stage of benevolence. Kenan Rifai's understanding has always been classified within this criteria, these three sets in the criteria. So there are two ways of Allah's contentment. One is to like whatever Allah is doing, and the second is actually not to break heart, but to please one's heart. Because if you break one's heart, then your outer will be ruined. If you actually break or please someone's heart, your inner will be enriched. So if we take a look at adab, best manners, there are two kinds. One is zahiri adab, the outer good manners. So these are the things that we need to do as rules, regulations, and refrain from the ones he forbids. And the second one is actually not to hurt anyone with your tongue or with your hand, and to cleanse your heart of gossip. So with sadness, with hopelessness, one shouldn't be looking at anything that happens in the world. So as a commentator, Masnawi is, so these are actually the inner parts of the inner parts of the inner parts, the essence of the essence of the religion. So that's what actually the Sufis mention as they involve all these three dimensions of Islam. So when Kenan Rifai talks about humans, there are three levels. The first layer is the people of Nefs, animal soul, and they are full of desires, and in the Quran they are called Nas. And the second one are the Havas, they are the people of the heart, and they are called those who have faith. And the third one are the people of spirits, and these are called the people who are in love with love. So they are together with Allah's mercy, compassion, and they are Allah's friends, and there is no fear, no sadness for such friends of Allah. So Sharia, Tariqa, and Hakika, this hierarchy can also be interpreted as such. When we actually look at religion at the very bottom of the pyramids, Islam is the bottom part. So the explanations from this one is actually to the Muslims. So if you have reached the level of faith, so the explanations about religion, together with all the other believers in other Islams, that's what it's referred to. So, but the level of benevolence in every era, in every kind of human, since they are nourished from experience, they are addressing to everyone in the world. Be it a Muslim or not, they actually admire such addressing from the level of benevolence. So, Kenan Rifai's understanding, we can say, is actually nourished from this level, the level of benevolence. So in Bayezid Bestami's time, a disbeliever is said, the last religion has come, so come and become a Muslim. And Kafir says, if you think that the faith you mention is actually Bayezid's iman, but I don't have the ability to do it. If that's the faith you have, then I don't want to have it. So the upper stages are interrelated with the lower ones. Kenan Rifai says the essence of life is faith. The spirit of faith is, and the spirit of deeds is actually love for the people, because one shouldn't think that people are actually real different from Hak, God the truth. Some people think that people are the exterior and Hak is the interior, but no, they are together. So the third one is when they actually refer or address the people, they are in contact with Allah. That is Yunus Emre's verses. We talk to Hak, God the truth, but Halk, the people think we're talking about eyebrows and eyes. So we have the Islam stage. We have there's also this infaq and ihlas. Infaq, when we have infaq, actually, these are giving whatever is given to you, you are content with it. The other kind of infaq is actually the knowers, the arifs infaq, which means they are content only with love of Allah. Infaq is tithing. Tithing.
Bizim mesnevimiz vahdet dükkanıdır. Orada
Our place is only oneness and unity. Whatever you see out of that oneness is a thing, obstacle put to you, put to divert you. We can say that Mevlana is an Arif, and Muhammad Iqbal says, God Almighty, your love has bore thousands of wolves in this world. And that is actually a supra look. It is a revelation look, but it doesn't place one above the other. And starting from the 6010, it started with Hazreti Adam and it matured with Prophet Muhammad. So it includes all of the religions. And in Quran Kareem, today I have completed your religion unto you. That verse is important, and also there's an hadith which reflects this. Hazreti Muhammad says, my predecessor's condition is as follows. Somebody has built a house and people go into that house and they are bedazzled with the beauty of that house. And they say, one brick is missing and we wish it was there too. I am that last brick. So Kenan Rifai, also starting from Hazreti Adam, has seen religion as something that is shaped according to the needs of the people and has found its final shape in Islam. He says, quoting, all the religions are the same, starting from the most primitive ones, from Jesus, from Moses to Muhammad. All of the religions are same by meaning, but the internal cleansing of human being is finding God within yourself. And religion is from the grade school to university, is the phases of learning and education, and has found its maturity in Islam. So every Muslim is a Majusi, is a Jew, and a Christian at the same time, or an advanced Zoroastrian, advanced Jew, and an advanced Christian. As an example of those statements, one day Kenan Rifai comes across someone who puts down Christianity and says, what does Christian mean? Do you see him different than you? You also believe in Jesus and Moses, otherwise you would not have become a Muslim. So, according to Kenan Rifai, what does it translate in comparison with Ahlullah? We can say, Hazreti Mevlana says there are two types of the walis. Some of them are like a tailor. They interfere and intervene to the object. If they don't like something, they deal with it. And the other group, which we call the Ehli Riza, the content ones, they do not interfere or deal with the object. They are all content and accepting of all the doings of God Almighty. And they say, what is there that is not good in God's doing that would call for an intervention? And the same way, Kenan Rifai says in one of his sayings, whatever God Almighty has done is beautiful. And one of the main qualities of tasawwuf mentioned in Masnawi by Mevlana is the appearance being the code of assessment. And
her şeyi dış görünüşe göre şekillendirmek. Burada
worshipping in form is something that is given as an example. Somebody who was a priest converts to Islam and he needs to keep his cloak, the priest clothing, and he says, can I please keep them on? And he says, what's in a dress? What's in a cloak? You can put one kavuk over another, but God will only look at your heart. So that appearance-loving approach, attitude, manifests itself in is what is going on here. There is a difference. There is a difference, or difference between this to the real religion. So what is holy, what is celestial, what is divine and accepted as religion is something that he sheds light onto. In the first examples of tasawwuf, in Kushani there is an example. Rushanji says, first, tasawwuf was a truth without a name, and now it has become a name without the truth. So this is for the first phases or periods of tasawwuf, like wearing a wool cloak, for example, was a tradition, but it is only a partial aspect of it. And if, just like Yunus Emre said, if being a dervish was about the cloak, we would also acquire it for a couple of gold coins, he said. So whatever is the core in tasawwuf life, what is unchangeable and what is changeable. And Kenan Rifai enlightens us on that as well. For example, when they limited the tekkes, when they banned and closed down the tekkes, is an example for that. Also about the hat revolution. Maybe they don't seem like as problems in today's times, but it calls for a vision in those times. So the getting rid of the localization and having an universal approach, what was effective, what was important, and because he has overtook the heritage of the Ottoman state, and he has worked as a minister of education in different regions. Also, for many years, he had taught Turkish in the Greek monastery, and he has been in contact with other religious clergy. And we also need to add here the procedure, the rule part of Islam is not separated from tasawwuf by Kenan Rifai. He says that the human body resembles a ship. The material prayers of that body, like namaz or like prayer, stabilizes the ship on the water, which is the weight that keeps the ship on the water. But to dock to get closer to the dock of wisdom, you have to use the love of heart and the gönül, the inner heart, the loving heart. And he reminds us of the verses. Don't think that your job is finished with only the rituals and prayers. You need the purity of heart to actually finish your job. And whoever knows himself knows his Rabb, and if you don't yourself, you will not know your God. As you know, in tasawwuf, a human being is seen like a land, like a universe, different from the microcosmos understanding in the previous thoughts. The universe without a human being is like a body without an eye, or a mirror without the reflection. It's like a piece of iron. So the understanding of religion is about bringing Islam to the land of his own self, bringing the peace, the religion, the Islam to his own land, his own body. If you cannot bring peace to your own land of being, then you cannot bring peace to the land of the people. Human being needs to be in peace with himself first, and then can only be in peace with the others. So recovery of everything is only through recovery of oneself or correction of oneself. If you cannot come to peace and affect oneself, how can you be in peace and affect others? You have to first have the order in your own land of being. That is why we are said that we are responsible of our own herd, like each shepherd is responsible from his herd. So all the organs of one's body, all the different opinions, ideas are seen as the members of the herd of oneself, and you need to have order among those. Another thing is ashq and muhabbet, and as you know, in tasawwuf, all existence is about the manifestation of Rahmaniyat, and it is all formed by the muhabbeti ezeli, the eternal love. There is nothing that this eternal love does not reflect itself or manifest itself on. And Mevlana says the maturity of the good deeds is to love the created ones, and we have to understand that the start of the created and the peak of all wisdom is the love of Allah, and love of Allah is only possible by loving the created, every one of which is blessed with the manifestation of truth in this world. This is a bit different than the traditional approaches, and Mevlana says the people of Ashq are apart from the other 72 sorts of people. And Yunus Emre also says, your love has taken me away from me. How sweet a suffering it is that is within the remedy. The Sharia and Tariqa are paths for those who attain. Truth and wisdom are even deeper than the movement. I have forgotten religion and piety. What if there's a doctrine deeper than religion? The works of those who leave the faith are blasphemy. And Mevlana asks us, Kenan Rifai, as being a Mevlana-mannered Gnostic, accepts everything that brings man closer to Allah. And he says, whichever medium takes the servant to his beloved, that medium is an obligation in the sect of lovers. So some people are not inclined or talented in ashq and muhabbet, so they keep him busy with rituals and prayers. But the zahids are those who are appointed with ashq and muhabbet, who are the sadiqs. Okay, I'm about to wrap up. It's pretty much the end. Everything should be compared with the knowledge of his time. So at the end of my presentation, I would like to compare him with another alim, and the comparison is from Cemil Meriç. First of all, let me remind you this. Ibn Arabi says, you cannot prefer one of the Ahlullah to another. And this is like hearing, seeing, sensing, tasting. All of them have different qualities. And Ahlullah, the friends of God, also manifest their qualities in different ways. Because if you compare seeing with touching, one can say seeing is higher, but nobody gives up on sensing because they can see. So you cannot choose one Ahlullah over another. I want to state this firstly. In 1950s, think of a place that, and Cemil Meriç compares them, and Bediüzzaman und Kenan Rifai. First of all, based on their life and discourse, they represent two different salams. One represents seminary and theology, intellect and faith. The other, the large tasawwuf and divine love. Of course, it would not be appropriate to say that these two are separated from each other with a definite line. When communicating faith and religion, Kenan Rifai embraced the method of Sufis which addressed the heart rather than the knowledge of theology, dialect, and intellectual reasoning. Rather than seeing faith as something to be proven by intellect, Kenan Rifai saw it as faith and belief and didn't need any proof. For faith is not and for faith is not on its own. Every follower is fortunate as an individual. So comparing Kenan Rifai with Said Nursi, one the seminary and the other the large. Said's disciple hit a rock like a stack of muscles. Said talks behind hard and dark walls. The society he addresses only exists in his imagination, but these imaginary people come to reality as he speaks. So the Nursi reaction Nursi movement is a reaction, and the reaction of the seminary to an unproductive and artificial university. The power of Nur tractates is because they communicate a rebellion, but the Dirari attack of cruelty has turned a solitary voice into a scream. What turned the followers of the one light, Nur, into ostriches is the incomprehension of the intellectual. It's not to be forgotten that faith is enough on its own. Every follower is fortunate as an individual, but being torn from its root, getting covered with moss, does not bring anyone happiness. Let us summarize. Kenan Rifai is a 19th century intellect. The reason I say this is, as you know, Cemil Meriç is not inside Tasawwuf, so he compares it from outside as an observation, and how they see the issue is reflected in his opinions. Kenan Rifai is a 19th century intellect, a former alumni of Galatasaray, and he has traveled through the massive geography of the empire, a broad curiosity, a great power of assimilation, a rich experience, a piece of Indian, a piece of Mevlana, and an endless thirst of life. He is a repetition in Tasawwuf culture as well, but he is not a prisoner of the strict rules of Sharia, a man of God who makes love a religion. In an era that was poisoned by materialism, only such an embracing faith could reach his voice. Said Nursi gave sermons in the mountains. The ones who were abused, who lost everything, whose precious things were destroyed, ran to him. Yusuf Kenan is an elegant man of the city. He knows how to please everyone, how to enchant everyone. He has a fascinating voice, a handsome face. This is why he attracts mostly women, large more than seminary. In conclusion, we can say the Sufi tradition especially relies on divine love and heart, and especially through his mother Cenan Hanım. As you know, the woman is the best reflection of the Cemal name of God Almighty. Also, she had become the reflection of the Muhabbet and unveiled the beauty. The third one is his artistic identity influenced his understanding of Sharia and religion. It's a bit based on how artistic you are, because that is how you get inspired. So how progressed in religion depends on that. Fourth, his avant-garde vision transcending his era, his attitude regarding the Hajj revolution and other revolutions, as well as the abolishment of zikr and lodges, can be shown as examples. He was very competent in French, which tells us that he was able to grasp the zeitgeist of his time, and he has an understanding beyond his days. His teaching Turkish language and not fighting with the state in teaching religion. He didn't conflict the state because he has seen everything as a manifestation of the will of God, and he was all focused on his students. Also, that was one of the things that shaped him. I will wrap up by saying, as a Mevlana commentator, he was a friend of love and love of God. He is agnostic with a Rumi-like disposition and an attained man of divine love, who is a religious Gnostic that deals with religion from the level of benevolence based upon the understanding of Gnostics, such as Rumi.